Let's try that again. Welcome to Airbrush Down Dirty Tricks, everyone. It's Thursday night. It's 8 o'clock. We are live. I think we have audio. Yeah, I didn't for a second. We got video. We got stream. We got stats. I think we're doing good. Let's see who we got here in the house. We got Todd. We got Ray, Brian, Dan, Mike Manning. What's going on, everyone? Robert Minen. I mispronounce all the time. Chris Garcia, what's happening? Kelly Ross, honey, what's going on, everyone? What's going on? Got green skulls. What? Did I set green skulls? Huh. I forget what the green skull was now. Huh. Now I don't know. We got gold skulls. What's going on, everyone? How's everyone doing? How's the sound? How's the audio? Everything good? I don't think we have any ghost audio running. My audio should be clear here. Let me just take a quick listen and see what I got going. Hold on a second. Do we have... Does it sound echoey or no? Let's see, because I think... No, we should be good. Single audio, right? We don't have any ghosting. It's weird because when I hear myself in here, it's like a millisecond delay. Will Cheryl get a green skull? That's awesome. Okay. Sound is good, Mike? Thanks. Okay, cool. It's so hard when you listen to your own voice through it because it sounds like an echo chamber. Good. All right, kiddies, what's going on? Let me go over to, I gotta go over to my computer for a sec, and let's see which one got picked, because I'm literally doing this on the fly. We're gonna start this at the same time. There's gonna be no cheating. I'm gonna look at my post and see what people, okay, where are we? I should have had this queued up already, but I didn't. My channel, my posts. All right. Cool. So it looks like it was a close. It was really close between B and C. Okay, so I'll bring up which one those are. Jump in the saddle here. Let's see here. All right. So it came down to these two. Okay, so, and they're both very similar. One's horizontal, one's vertical, pretty much. So this was B, and then this was C. And C was the clear winner on YouTube, and where most of you guys spend your time and donate and super chat and all that to me. I'm going to go with C. Sorry, Kelly. I think Gary will see. This was Gary's idea originally. I put up a post at the beginning of the week with some ideas, and Gary had mentioned that. And this has been something I've been wanting to do for a while. And the only reason, even if it was tied, why I'm not going to go with this one is I've already painted this crow before on a prior stream, I believe, a while ago. I couldn't find it, but I know I did. I painted two crows before, but never this theme. But I've never done this one, so that's why I'm going to go with this one. I am thinking of making all four of these design available for download at some point. But the reason why they're not available for download, I'm not even going to vector plot them tonight. I'm going to do this traditionally by hand. So basically what I did is I used the Illustrator file, because I've done... over the past 20-something years, well, 35 years painting, but 20-something years of actually using vectors and actually using Adobe Illustrator design. I've designed so many skulls. I vectored so many images of skulls, crows, birds, dragons, you name it. I got the file I have is huge. So what I did is I took some crows, I took some skulls, and I started throwing them together and piecing them with the intent, maybe I'll plot them, maybe I'll just do it traditionally. So I'm going to do this one traditionally by hand, which is I'm going to take my sketch, which these are. I'm going to transfer that sketch onto the aluminum panel, and I'm going to freehand it. And I might do some paper cutting of this paper template and some loose shields and things like that, but traditional method. I could, if I decided to, just plot this one I could plot this whole thing out, stick it on, peel and pick and peel and pick and peel and pick. It'd be perfect, it'd be super clean, but I don't want it to be graphically sharp. I want that illustration freehand mix look of traditional medium brush work, freehand airbrush work, some scratching work. I want all that in it, not just super crisp, automotive custom paint. So I want to kind of have a mix with it. So I think what the plan is I'm going to keep this, like I said, traditional. I'm going to do this as a black and gray right now. It might be something I colorize later, but I kind of like the idea of a black and gray with that maybe purplish hue tint and kind of go from there. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards it. So for you guys following along, honey, you rule. Thank you very much. Ching, ching. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so Brian, exactly. So I didn't want to do this as, because a lot of times, and I think people get the misinterpretation that when I use a plotter, it's the only way you can do it. And you have to have a plotter to follow my techniques. You really don't. Now, the plotted stuff, hand knife skills, definitely make it easier. But, almost all my lessons can be done with this method. Meaning you could take the paper, cut, transfer, things like that. What's up, Ryan? You could take that stuff and do it systematically by hand, by the technique of doing it. Or you could use a plotter. Because how I've always approached using a plotter, I've always approached it as this is how I would hand cut it and lay it out by hand. So however I would hand cut it, traditional old school, like when I was in the 90s, before plotters, when I started adopting plotters, how would I cut it? Where would I make the cuts? How would I make the cuts and peel? That's how I plot. I don't plot a bunch of extra lines and details just for the sake of doing it. I do it as if I would do it by hand. That's kind of how I approach it. So I just figured I'd cover that. And I'm going to stop talking to the camera so you can see what's happening here. Cool. All right. So, and like I didn't know which one we're going to pick. So I literally printed the reference for B. I printed the reference for A and D as well. So you'll have all these different variants. And honestly, this is a good lesson for you guys. So if you have a catalog of digital works, Silhouette 3 is awesome. Awesome. You're going to love it. The software really works a lot like every other design software. So keep it simple. You can do some tracing and stuff like that. There's a lot of great YouTube content. I've been meaning to do some silhouette content because I do have one. I do use it. I do prefer it over like a Cricut. And if I'm going to be cutting hard stencils and things like that. In Adobe Illustrator, that's how I design everything in Adobe Illustrator. But I design Adobe Illustrator as if I'm using a sign program because I learned on sign programs, which was, they all work the same. Adobe Illustrator, Cricut, Cameo, all of it is all based around the same vector node structure. There's no difference other than the interface and how it does things. Most of them is based on old school Adobe Illustrator and Quark from back in the late 80s, early 90s. And then basically what software is like SignLab, FlexiSign, and all those basically took that method and made actions. So Illustrator does 100 times more stuff, but it's going to be overwhelming if you're not used to the software. That's why a lot of guys don't use it. And it's not really a sign program, it's a design program. Sign programs basically took a lot of those elements out, like how to double outline, double stroke, and made, basically what they did is they made Adobe Illustrator actions that work on one click in sign programs. So the sign programs are much easier to use, but none of it matters. None of the software interfaces matter, none of it matters. You just need to learn two tools. And I don't care if it's Bobo, freeware, vector software, if it's Inkscape, if it's Adobe, if it's FlexiSign, if it's SignLab. There's only two tools that you need to know because all those programs only do two things. That's it. They only do two things. They make straight lines and curved lines. That's it. That's all they do. From point A to point B is straight. From point B to point C is a curve. From point C to point D is a 10-degree curve. And it's rated, that's all it is. All the other menus just make things easier and shortcuts. But if you learn how to use the pen tool and the freehand pencil tool, which is you click a point, you drag the next point, and you move the mouse, it makes a curve, you do the next point. If you learn that, you're halfway there. The next tool is combining shapes, which is like a circle and a square, putting a circle on top of a circle. And then they have this little toolbox, every program has it, where you combine shapes. If you use those two things, any design software you can get into and use, doesn't matter. I don't care what it is. Corel, Flexi. I just found the new one that was super cheap that you can plot in any plotter. Plotter, Cricut, Camly, doesn't matter. I think it was Sign Cut something. It wasn't Sign Cut Pro, it was something else. I'll put a link to it, or I'll talk about it another time. It's great, especially on a Mac. So, yeah. All right, so, like I said, you could plot this. I'm going to eventually make the plot files accessible. The reason why they're not accessible right now is because I drew these for me. When I do them for me, I don't worry about every path lining up. I don't worry about certain shapes that don't connect weird, connect kind of weird. I know what to do with them. I don't worry about them. And, some paths are missing here, some paths are here, blah, blah. They're all, Brian, they're all the same. The problem is a lot of people want to go in and use shortcuts. They want to go in and use trace. They want to go and make this a vector for me. And then they want to know why it cuts 3 or 4 times. And they want to take an image and hit copy. If you do that, any software is a pain in the ass. They all are. Because what you have to realize is vector software is not images. They're shapes. So I want you to get in your head when you're doing vector and plotting, it's plotting a course. That's why it's called a plotter. Came out, originally you had design softwares that used a pen plotter that would plot a course, like a map, from point A to point B was a straight line, and that's the plotted vector. From here to here is the next vector to that curve. That's all they did. Whereas Photoshop and everything, people used images, which is a bunch of pixels on a screen. When you look at vector software, design cutting software, don't think of it as images. It's shapes. Everything is shapes. That's how you have to think of it. When you look at this is not a skull. This is a shape, a silhouette of a skull. Here's a shape of the eye. It's not an eye image. It's the shape. It's all shapes you got to get in your head. So learn the basic how to draw with the pen tool, or say a Bezier curve or something like that. The pen tools are the key. And then the shape builders where you combine in shapes and reduce. Those are the two things. I've done videos on it. I did a DVD on it. I'd love to do more. I'd love to do a full tutorial on every software, but I don't have the time. It's literally days and days and hours, and I need to get paid. So I am going to do some stuff on Illustrator and some other programs. I'm going to make them. I am going to do some live classes with that. I just haven't worked them out yet, and I got to do it. All right, I've been talking for 15 minutes, so anyone watching this on the replay, I'm sorry. I am going to basically start from scratch when I do the replay video. It's just going to start from here. All right, so Mike Manning, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. Okay, so this is the image that the poll, I put out 4 images. This was the one everyone wanted for the crow and skull piece. This we're going to paint. We're going to freehand it with a mix of loose stenciling and some paper cut. We'll use this to do paper cut work as well. So the first thing I always get asked, let's get rid of all these designs. I'm going to make sure we use all the same one. C. This was C. Okay. Like I said, I will eventually make all 4 of these available. These can go away. Of course, I dropped my pen. Okay, first question I get a lot is how do I transfer an image? Okay, Brian Moore, thank you so much. Appreciate it, thank you. Those super chats really make it worth it. They really help. They add up, throughout the month, 3 or 4 feeds, a couple of you guys doing this every week, it does add up. So I do appreciate it. Don't think I don't. Okay, so this is your image. Now, like I said, oops, nope, this is the wrong one. Haha, this is the right one. Because everyone wanted the more complicated one that had the more skulls. Okay, you have an image. This is your sketch. This is your drawing. This is your, you found a cool image online. You want to transfer it onto the hood of a car. You want to transfer it onto your illustration board, your canvas, whatever. It doesn't matter. This technique, the techniques pretty much work with everything, okay? For the most part. Canvas is a little trickier, but it still works. Or you could use a projector or something like that. This is basically the same as using Sorel, transfer paper, graphite paper. I don't recommend graphite paper. I mean, no, graphite paper is fine. I don't recommend carbon paper, because carbon paper sometimes is waxy, and you don't want that wax onto your surface. If you're doing canvas and brush work and airbrush work, it's fine. You're not going to have, you probably won't have a problem, but sometimes it can, if it's a waxy transfer, you can get, your paint won't stick to it well. So that could be a problem. Okay, so what I've done, I've been doing this probably 100 feeds by now. I've done this, or at least, you know, dozens. I don't like Sorel paper anymore. I don't like most of the transfers. I think they leave too big of a line. They transfer a huge amount of material. I don't like it. You usually got to pull a lot off afterwards. So I do it like this. I take a 6B or 4B pencil, and I just basically, whoops, hi. Get topped up. I just basically do my own carbon paper. And I remember I was doing a getaway, and I forget one of the illustrators' name. One of the other illustrators was an amazing illustrator who's no longer with us. May rest in peace. Was Armando Hirata. Armando Hirata probably did some of the craziest pinup stuff, some of the dirtiest, raunchiest stuff, especially of his books. Tremendous artist. And I remember watching him do a transfer, and he wasn't onto a large illustration. And this is one of the ways he was doing it. And I'm like, oh, it's so simple. Not using Sorel, not using this. Just basically, they went back and forth. This was like glossy, shiny. And you could use this over and over and over and over and over. And I've seen what some artists do. They'll transfer, they'll do a painting, they'll put the transfer back up. They might bring some more details over there, like under painting, so they can see it better, because you can keep using it. So it's just super simple. I will never be able to outbid Gary. Gary doesn't bid at every painting. We've had paintings go for reasonable. Todd, thank you so much. But the bids, yeah, sometimes the bids just chase it up. You know, but they do help, man. You know, like I said, I spend probably about, when I do one of these 2-hour feeds, I probably spend at least 2 hours prior, if not like 4 to 5 hours prepping it. This one, I definitely got at least 3 hours into it already, between the designs and sketches and then getting things ready. So, yeah. Okay, so this is really important. So once I get this on, like I said, you can keep going. The one thing I do is I want to get anything that's really loose off. So I just take a paper towel and I just kind of just burnish it, kind of rub it in. And this is going to take the super excess off. So you just end up with nice clean transfers without, you don't want a big chalky mess. So basically this takes the excess off, okay? And then we can do, you have your image. Oh, you know what? Camera's gonna get a little shaky for a sec, so alright. Someday I'll get an automatic camera we can use remotely. That'll be more money to spend, which I still haven't got my good recording system, my good switching system back yet after the lightning strike. I'm still working on a temporary system, which is why I don't have like the multi-split screen and things like that. What is the device? I see some used to outline. So I'll have to go use small amounts of arcing. Oh, so that's called electropounce. What Gary's talking about. Remember when I did the how-to video last week? When I did the video on how to duplicate the graphic and lay it out, they had these. I use this called pounce wheel, which puts little basically it's a cowboy boot spur, and it puts little holes in the paper that your powder, your transfer powder or pounce powder will go through and leave the ghosting of the image. So this is a pounce wheel. What that's called, it's called electropounce. You know, electropounce is, it's almost like a, it looks like a stencil burner in a way, or like a wood burner. And if you have a steel bench, and you have that tool with the little point on it, there's electrical current hooked up to it, and as you trace the image, because it's a steel bench, a steel table, the electricity is going through it and burning little micro holes through the paper. Same effect, but you know, you can go a little faster, and instead of getting a little dot, you'll get like a fine kind of perforation through the paper. So yeah, that's what it's called, electropounce. Do you get the same transfer worth? You know, I don't ever really use a charcoal pencil. I've always used a graphite. But I would assume, yeah, you'll get the same, because I've done it with chalk before as well, with white chalk. I've done the same technique. So I would mess around with it. Yeah, I would mess around with it. Just make sure whatever you're using isn't waxy. That's the key. Okay, so now you see what I did. You have this, oh, I'll talk about the board. This is a 12 by 18 panel. I got a 1/2 inch frame around it, so it's 11 by 17 painting. And I have primed it with like a blue-gray, because I want to be able to do black and white truly, so I want to be able to use white to bring the brights, and I want to use the black with a little purple tint to it to do all the detail. And that way with the gray, I have both. I can go both. But so if you watch, and the reason I do this too, just like plotting, if I match my transfer up here with these lines, if I cut these paper printouts, they're gonna match up. See? Nice transfer of that line is right there. I even thought about, I don't know if you've ever seen the work of Mark Fredrickson. What's his name? Who did Indiana Jones and the Goonies? His work as well. It escapes me. If you looked at his paintings, if you notice, all the initial illustration was done with pencil, shading, everything else, and then he started doing glazing, overlays, and brushwork, traditional brushwork. But if you look really close to the painting, you can see all the pencil work under there, which makes the painting look really cool. I thought about that with this, and I actually did a motorcycle once where the client was an artist, and he actually penciled his image on the whole bike on the base color. We did like a base cream color white. He actually penciled the whole paint job himself because he wanted his work. But he didn't know how to airbrush, he didn't know how to color, so we made a deal. He actually penciled it all and shaded it with pencil. We cleared it, locked in the pencil. Then I went and I overlaid everything with transparent washes and glazes and candies and overlays to the painting. So it was really cool because it had an old master's kind of old world look to it. So I kind of want that with this in a way as well. I don't mind if you see some of the pencil through it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through, and the only problem is I should have printed this like blue, so when I trace these lines out I knew which ones I hit. So, but it's alright. I just have to remember where I went. Ooh, honey's already in. Honey's already in on this one. All right, let's get it going. Let's get it on. Have you ever cell shaded your original art? Yes. And I've done paintings like it's a cell shaded comic book style, or like video game cell shade style before as well. When I did a painting of Alan Pastrana for SEMA, I did it in a cell shaded style, which is really cool when you do paper because you can paper cut all your cell colors and drop them in. It looks really cool. Honey at 200. Cheers. Cheers. Oh, I got my Macabre scoops. Skeleton hand glass tonight. No, I don't like using a pencil because pencils get soft, you know, and they don't. So I use a pen. I learned that whenever you're transferring, I learned to use like a fine point pen. That way your line transfer is the smallest it can be. I learned that from an old Gary Jensen video, actually. Gary Jensen was amazing, is an amazing pinstriper, airbrush artist, gold leaf, graphic guy. He's worked for Counts for a few years. You see him once in a while. Wasn't on the show very often. He was there in the background, but if you know him, you knew he was there. Gary Jensen, amazing striper and artist. So see, now you got your nice. I keep going the wrong camera. See how nice that transferred? Nice and clean. It doesn't wipe off. That's why I don't use charcoal, honestly, honey. Because charcoal would smear if I did that. The graphite doesn't really. I'd have to like really, really push it to get it to move. So like I said, the reason I'm doing it this way, it's funny because before I decided to do this freehand, this is the kind of one I knew everyone was going to pick. And I knew everyone was going to pick it because it was the most complicated one. I already actually have it plotted. It's actually sitting on the plotter right there, cut. But I'm not using it because I basically want to show you that you don't need a plotter to do these techniques. You just need good old traditional hand techniques, and they all work together. Because we've gotten people over the years. I had some guy in the Iwata channel months back. It's like, all you ever do is use a plotter. You suck. You can't paint without a plotter. Blah blah blah. All this stuff. And it was just, you know, I'm trying to explain to him. Like, yes, I can look like that, but, you know, but then I tried to explain my process, and he didn't care. It didn't matter. Watching you on TV, my comments are limited. Looking good, bro. Nice. So you know, depending on your phone setup, you can link your, if you have an iPhone or Android, you can link your chat on your phone to your TV sync up. So you can do both at the same time. Just FYI. So basically, the other reason I like to do it freehand, this is just, I've been doing all freehand this week. If you saw the skull bike this week, you know, that was just days of doing skull work. And, you know, a little quick stencil, registration, and then freehand. I'm not a freehand purist where you can't use any tricks and transfer techniques. You got to do it all by, you know, with no contact, no technique. I'm so beyond and over that mentality. If guys want to do it, have at it. I know it's slower. I've done it. I've been doing this 35 years. Oh, I was writing down how you do it. You basically, yeah, you sync your phone so you can type and chat with the phone, and you can watch it at the same time. Works great. And I'm sure, I know, I have a lot of Android users. I'm sure you can do the same thing on an Android. I just can't tell you how. Oh, stencils are great. Stencils are an amazing tool. Anyone's like, oh, stencils are cheating. Yeah, go to a tattoo artist next time and get ready for a sitting of 40 hours of a back piece and tell the guy, you know what? Don't use the stencil. I don't want you to make it perfect. I want you to just wing it. I love it because I use the stencil once in a while. You get haters that say crap all the time. You never see someone on a tattoo page go, oh, he used a stencil. That's cheating. No, it's not. That's my little rant. Bitch fest. It's funny. I've always said the stencil argument or the plotter argument, it's just another tool, man. It's just another tool. And you can build a house with a hammer. You can build a house with a pneumatic gun. At the end, it's the same damn build. It's all put together the right way. If you did it right, you won't even be able to know which way it was done. But one of them is a lot faster and more efficient and guarantees you get the job done on time and get paid well for it. The other one can take longer than it needs to. But there's also, if I plotted this versus how I'm doing it now, the look would be different. And if you go back, I did a video like, come on, man, it had to be 3 years ago. I did the same image by a plotted map. I did it side by side in I think I finished it in 2 hours total. I did the same image. It was a tattoo skull with a Japanese kind of water around it. I did a plotted one and one like this, paper cut and transferred. Did them both side by side. The end result was similar. Now the plotted one looked super crisp. The other one looked more looked more illustrated, more tattooed. But they're both quality paintings that have two distinct looks, but they both look awesome. So you could choose which path you want to go. That's the point. Have the tools to do it the way you want to do it. Don't try to meet some standard of show off like, oh, I never use a plotter. Oh, I remember back in the day, people were like, I don't use a projector to project, do cars on a t-shirt. This is the 90s. I'm like, okay, well, your car looks wonky. Should have used the projector. Sorry. That's the truth. And the guy that used the projector had a happy customer that paid him within an hour or two instead of you taking 4 to 6 hours, and he wasn't that happy. So it's not really a show-off. Okay. Ta-da! Image transferred. That's it. It's there. It's done. If you wanted to make it pencil-y and see it, you could go in here. And it's a really cool look on the bike. Like I said, that bike looked awesome. Where the bike looked hand-drawn on the bike. It was cool. And the bike lasted, the graphite lasted for years. Amateurs do it the hard way. Professionals do it the easy way. It's a great statement. Amateurs do it. It's funny because the amateurs don't necessarily do it the hard way. They do it the only way they know how, or the only way they can think of it. Professionals figure out the best tool for the job to get the best results. That's what a professional does. An amateur doesn't know the tools yet because they're amateurs. So it's nothing against them. And you know what's funny? The amateurs are never really the ones, not always, sometimes it is, but for the most part, the amateurs aren't the ones making those statements. It's usually the nothings, the people who don't paint, who don't draw, who try to set all these rules for artists because they can't do it, so they want to think of some way to say, yeah, but you cheat, or you did it because of this, because they can't do it. I remember someone in school once said, oh, you're not an artist, if you use an artists don't use erasers. Who the F made that rule up? It's just stupid. It's just stupid. All right, so what I'm going to do first, and just like how I plot it, let me grab my cutting mat. Making noise. I'm going to take this. Actually, you know what? I could probably do this faster and easier. So, dude. Hold on. I'm going to try this. Oh, shit. Now, moving the easel off to the side. I don't often do this, but I think this is better. because you can see it better. I'm going to cut this silhouette out. About having over detailing and drawing it up. Yeah, no, Mike, I can do that too. Sometimes you spend too much time on the drawing phase or, the workout phase. But it's all just different methods, guys. It's not... The rules are bullshit. It doesn't need to be this rule, that rule, this rule. And that's what I'm going to be teaching, because I'm going to be teaching over in Germany next year at this event here. The Airbrush Days in 2026, which I'm honored to be a part of. And, some of the artists I'm working with are master photorealists, master illustrators, but they paint in a very specific way. I paint in a very loose way. And that's what I'm bringing to the table. A way to approach a painting. And I don't mean this as a different creative path, like just thinking on the fly. Coming up with something that isn't there. And that's something I'm going to be bringing to the table. That's kind of what I want to focus on, because in the custom automotive world and the illustrating world, I'm not going off a photo. I don't have time. I love the work of Boris Vallejo, one of my favorite artists. I don't have time to set up a photo shoot with lighting and models and stuff to do a motorcycle. I have done that with motorcycles in the past for certain jobs, but typically you don't have time. So you gotta work with different resources. So it's just a different way to do it. Naylor's amazing. Marissa's amazing. What's the other? Milana, they're all amazing artists. And the cool thing about doing these events is their way is the right way for their style. My way is the right way for my style. And I've always told people, and I'm being Ryder, we've talked about it before, or gone back and forth about it before, respectively. It's just a different outlook on the outcome and the way you want to paint. Rules are, I fought rules in school and art and church and religion. I have a way I want to do it. And if it's wrong, I'll pay the price for it. But, just paint and create how you want to create. Don't worry about... The only rule for me, because most of my work, and unfortunately these days I don't paint a lot for myself anymore. I'm trying to paint something tomorrow if I have time, but I'll let you know if I do it, because I don't even want to talk about it if I don't. I don't paint for myself really. I paint for the client and what their needs are, what they want. So as long as they're happy, that's all that matters. I get paid. That's all. I'll see myself out. No. But yeah, it's there's a million ways to skin a cat. And I've told him this to his face. I'm going to tell it in front of everyone right now. I learned my portrait style and how I prefer to paint portraits, especially monotone and black and gray, from Dan Power's videos. His Power Portraits was one of the ones that really spoke to me in that technique and that process and how to work with opaques versus transparents. And it just, I did it a million other ways, and I just liked the way he did it. And then there's a million other ways to do it. So, I don't know, just figure out what works for you, and if the end result for you makes you happy and the client happy, that's all that matters, guys. That's all that matters. Thank you. And I've used that term, the painterly feel. I want a painting to feel like a painting. And this is not a slam by any means on hyperrealism, photorealism, because that is its own challenge, own technique, and own process, and own art itself. But I want I want a little whimsy. I want a little softness. I want a little different. I want some stuff going on that isn't real. I want, it's like superhero movies. I don't want it to be hyper real. I want it to be somewhat fun, Artists I liked was, Bob Shea, what's going on? Artists I like I love Power's work. I love Steve Driscoll's style of portraits. That's what I loved. I loved seeing that stuff. Kent Lidd did amazing work. So anyway, we're off track. All right, so we have our image here. We have a gray panel, right? And basically what I did, you know what I'm going to do? I could mess this up right now. Could mess this up right now. Why do I want a smooth single color panel? What if we take my color, my black, and I put it in here. And just watch it. Oh shit. If I missed it over, we're going to do a little Travis Dieter crap here. And just water it in alcohol and water it in alcohol, water. Like I said, could mess it up right now. No idea. Just let it happen. And then I'll take that and we'll just mat it down. We'll pat it. So I love my photorealism friends, but not one of them would do this live. Not that I know of. Now I don't want to smear because then I'll wipe it. If it was solvent, I could smear. Now let it. That's alcohol and water. Now it's going to move. So now it can look like, whoops, they smeared. I don't want to. This is almost like what they used doing like wall work. Was it ragging? Yeah, no, realism is a tough sell. So, like, I am more of a commission artist than a fine artist, and I'll be the first to say it. If you want photorealism portraits, and you want to pay for it, then it should be as perfect as it can be. I've always gone with the fantasy art debate. Do you like Frazetta or Boris? Boris's work was loose. Frazetta's work was loose and off the cuff, and Boris's work was very structured, and I found it a little bit more stale. But it was beautiful lighting, it was beautiful subject, but it just didn't have the action. Okay. So look, yeah, it looks really messy. But the cool thing is, you can barely see. I want to slowly rub it back a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to actually get the camera up. Frazetta, for me, was always about the action and the feeling, not the lighting and like structure. It was action. It was like the precipice of action was what I always found in his work. Cool. So now we kind of have a really funky background. I love them both too, and I love them both for different reasons. Yeah, no, Frazetta's work was interesting shapes. If you looked at the motion and the gesture of what was happening, it was just really cool. I was a fan of his work. All right, so now what I can do is this is going to line up with everything I did already. I can kind of block out the background now for everything and get a separation. Yeah, for Frank, so it was funny. Another artist friend of mine who's no longer with us actually went to school with Boris's son, Dorian, and Dorian Vallejo is a master artist in his own right as well. Beautiful painter. And my buddy was telling me a story. He actually went to the house and he saw Boris's palette, the palette of like ton of oil paint just stacked up and all the mounds of oil. And then you look at Frazetta's palette, they use different palettes. Sometimes the color palette itself versus gray palette versus white palette versus whatever changes the tone of how you mix your colors. So yeah, it's hey Mike, have a good one. So some people right now be like, okay, that's not a freehand. And you know what I said? I don't give a shit. Yeah, like me and Steve have done workshops together. Steve's a great guy. And Steve is just the amazing talent. He paints like a traditional oil painter. Classically schooled, amazing talent. And can just look at an image like this and just start painting it. Without anything. It's an amazing ability, super talent, and just amazing skill set. And when you look at his painting, it doesn't look like an automotive illustration with super crisp edges. It looks like a master's oil painting. Did you base the panel? Yes, the panel was painted with like a blue-gray tone. Basically, almost like a primer gray, but it's got a little blue cast to it. Okay, so now I have that background separation, and I can kind of, I can keep coming back, and we can get it looser. And the other thing I'm going to do now, is I'm going to take my illustration. This is actually wicked transparent white. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to establish this now. There's a candle wick right here. There's the candle wick, that little stem. Oh wow. I strained this white so much. Oh no, it all settled. Hold on. That's why. I strained this like 4 times through a micro strainer. And then like an hour before, so it just sat. Let's see. I think I took almost all the pigment, there we go. Okay. So there's gonna be basically a nice glow right here. That's going to be like a nice secondary light source coming from the candle. which are actually like, if you want to block in, like I can block in that candle light off the side of that skull right now. That eye. I can come back in later. And this is what I mean about being able to just freehand and just kind of work stuff in. Skull here. This side of the temple, that's catching light. And everything I'm doing here is not just guesswork. This is from studying photorealistic painters and masters' work and how the light plays off different things and how it moves. And all that comes into play. All that methodology, all that technique. So if I didn't want to plot anything from here, if I didn't want to print anything from here and keep working with a paper stencil, I don't need to. This light kind of comes down, it's going to glow. Off his head a little bit. So this is just starting out. It's loose, it's sketchy. I missed the name. Who we just? Oh, we were just talking about Frank Frazetta and Boris Vallejo. I think I missed it. Yeah, Death Dealer is all well known. If you want to watch a great video, I think it's called Painting with Fire, which is the history of Frazetta. Watch that, and it's just an amazing documentary. So see, now I'm just kind of working it. I don't need to do this now. It can be done later, but I'm just kind of doing it because why not? Even it's not going to hurt anything if I cover it up. I cover it up. It's just structure. Okay, so you guys can make a choice. So I can go total freehand, not even use any paper cut here for a while if I don't want to. I usually use a little bit of paper cut to register some tone, and then I freehand into it and basically get rid of it. That's how I prefer to work. So if you like that, that's how I'll do it. If you don't want me to use any paper cut, I won't. But I do like to build some structure with it. And I might not listen to you anyway. All right. So what I'm using for a color now, and I haven't brought this up to the table. This is usually out in the This is usually out in the shop where I do a lot of motorcycle work. I've been using my Takumi Eclipse or my Takumi SB Micron, but I haven't brought the good old CMC, just a regular custom Micron C. And man, I do love these because I do love the feel of a center cup versus a side cup sometimes. And I do like the nozzle size. For those who don't know, the Microns have two different sizes. You have a .23, which is what this one is. So this Niesel. What this nozzle is, this is a .23 nozzle setup. Okay, that's what the Microns have. The custom Microns. The Micron SBs, these guys, and the Takumis are also Micron, but these have a .18. These are a smaller nozzle. And if you have trouble telling, if you've taken your brushes apart like I have, if you look at this air cap, this is a smooth cap. This has a line in it. Okay, the line in it is a 2.3. The smooth one is a .18, which is funny because I have one of Kiwi Terry's. A friend of mine sent it to me. It's one of Kiwi Terry's airbrushes. It's his Micron that he used. It's still as dirty as he left it, and I'm never cleaning it because it was Kiwi's. But it's funny because it's an old school Micron that he either converted or messed up the tips because he's got the .18 air cap on it. And it's a .23 body. So, yeah, it's funny. All right. Oops, that's purple. So I've taken my transparent Wicked Black. I've done my reduction. I've added a little bit of red violet in it. So it's a nice tone. So I did the mic learn customizing of the trigger. In ground, down and back with trigger. Yeah, so I have had a few of the early Mojos where we took, before Mike Larn made the Mojo themselves out of the Rich Pen, and then he went to the Mojo 3, which was Pache, and then he's back to the Rich Pen. Before he did that, we basically took Iwatas and we tuned them and Mojo'd them, which was tuning them down. I did all the same thing. Yeah, the Takumi side, Takumis are awesome. I like the side cup because it's different, but I don't like all the welds here. So I actually prefer, I'm gonna customize one of mine. They made this side cup for a while, which is all one piece. There's no seams, there's no threads. It's a little harder to get, you can still get them. These are for the side feed eclipses. So I like these cups because they're one solid weld. So you don't have any seams to deal with. They're a little harder to clean, but I do like them better. Oh, my chat froze, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sitting there going, wow, the chat hasn't moved in a while. But my screen, I gotta disconnect my screen for a second on my my teleprompter. The teleprompter froze up, so now I should be. Sorry if I missed some stuff. Drew Sruzum, thank you. That was from a while ago. For Zetagross, yes. I don't think I've seen that one. It's an older cup, Ryan. I'm gonna do a custom version on my Takumi clips, and I'm gonna do a double cutaway handle. I'm gonna do a video on it. I'm gonna take my Eclipse Takumi, which I love, and I'm gonna convert it to the taller custom cup of these because they made two different sizes. And then I'm gonna put the double cutaway handle in the weight on the back and basically make a custom Takumi Eclipse. Just for the hell of it. So look, if you don't want to do any paper, you can just freehand your line work and go from there. No, Mike's Mojos are great. So if you just want to do total freehand, you can. Reduce this a little more. Like I said, I just want to freehand. I can just freehand. Choose your method, guys. It doesn't. So this is just freehand going in and toning the skull. if you want to do a little masking and paper cutting. Let's just do it. So, I do this with the skulls all the time. I'm just going to do a quick paper cut for the detail. So what I do, anything that's an open hole like this, I cut it all the way through, which is what I'm going to do for this inner part of the orbital socket, the eye socket. And I'm going to do a piece at a time so you can see it. Oops. So what I do is I cut the whole hole out, because that's going to be solid. That's fine. But the eye socket itself, I don't cut the whole thing. I leave it like a flap. Okay, so now it'll... Oh, I gotta change this blade. Sorry. So watch. I basically take it as far as I can, so it'll flap open like that, right? Watch, I'll do it again here. So I do that. Here. I'm going to come around, and I'm going to not connect all the way out because I don't want it to fall out. Okay, so I just want it to be able to like flap open. See that? Like a window. So when I'm talking, yeah, no, but you know, it's not something I'm gonna sell or market or change. I like the double cutaway handle. I like the taller cup, and what I've always liked, you know, like why I like the customs. A regular, this is a custom CS, basically, like a custom Eclipse. A standard Eclipse has a short cup and a single cutaway handle. Well, the old school had no cutaway handle. The custom has a much taller cup. I think it's almost a quarter ounce or half ounce more, so you can paint for longer periods of time. And the double cutaway handle is nice because if you need to adjust the needle, you can just loosen the chuck, and back here, you can spin and pull the needle around and get clear and obstruction without pulling the needle all the way out. And you can put it back in, set tension, and tighten it. That's what's nice about this. So I want to do that to my Takumi. Basically, it would be like a custom Takumi. Okay, so this is what I do and why I do it. So now, watch. Those holes are your traditional stencil, and I don't blow a lot in there. And this, look, I can fold that back, and I can just hit there and shade. I can roll this back and just put a little bit. Notice I don't put much paint down here. Same thing here, and I roll back. And now I'm just painting on this side of it, heavy. And I come down here. Now I can flop that window back. I can flop that window back. So now when I pull this off, see, you already got your hard detail and soft. Now I can come in freehand and I can soften this edge up. And if you see that bike I did, that I just did, this is the process I used on it. That's how I'm able to get, you know, 50 to 100 skulls painted in a couple days, and then candy it and get it off to the client, make them happy. I don't know if anyone saw that. There was one guy who posted, he's like, "Oh, boring skulls, lame." I'm like, okay. The lame, what wasn't lame was the almost $3,000 I put in my pocket for a couple days worth of work of painting those lame skulls and had a happy customer. So, yeah, I don't mind. Yes, exactly. Yeah. We have had this, Daniel, me, you, and every other professional artist have had this debate and talk forever. And it just keeps... Back in the old airbrush.com days, this was going on. Anyone else here remember airbrush.com? I know Powers does. Which was the old airbrush forum way before Facebook. So you notice by using that skull stencil, I'm going to zoom in my camera too. Let me just get that set up here. Okay. Let me zoom in. So see how you get that nice mix of that like hard edge but soft freehand? This is why I like using a mix of like paper cut technique what I've also done over the years, I have all these basic paper skulls vectored and I can run them through my laser cutter. And I've been hesitant to put them out in the market because they actually work better out of paper than they do Mylar. But everyone wants Mylar stencils because they last forever. And the Mylar stencils are good, but the paper ones, even though they degrade over time, actually give you a softer edge result. And I thought about putting them out for people, but people just complain about, oh, it's going to be forever. It's like, dude, if you've painted that same skull stencil to the point where you've worn out the paper one, you should probably learn how to paint a new skull at that point and move on. You've done it to death already. So, anyone remember a phrase from Cal Concepts? Yeah, yep. I remember the forum. I was on it. So look, I could freehand this shade, or I could take this and I could just carve it in a little darker. It's preference. Like I said, I want to make this like a cool black and white painting. You know, maybe I'll add a little color here and there. So my comments are way behind. And I love my pack of skulls, you know, but for me, I've painted those a million times. So I still use them, but I don't use them on every job. Because they do get redundant. Which is why I came out with an original, because I was tired of using Craig's skulls all the time. So the line is going around the world, right? Oh, your replay was behind. Yeah. It's weird for me because I have to I see it in real time in front of me on my oops. So on my screens I see the multiple screens. That's real time as I'm doing it. So I always have to keep a YouTube video playing of what you're seeing at the timing because there is like sometimes a 15-20 second delay. So I gotta wait for comments and make sure I'm not over talking it because so it is tricky to play that game a little bit. That's awesome, man. You know, you get that once a week. It's just gonna sink in. Like anything, it's just time and practice. Like, I've been painting since '89. I can't count how many skulls I painted. You know what I mean? I can't. I think I did like at least, I want to say 50 to 80 skulls on that bike this week. And that was mainly done in 3 days as far as the skull work goes. And then we candied it and I striped it. And it was like 2.5 days of skulls. It was like a day, afternoon of taping and prepping. 2.5 days of skulls. And then another day of, almost a day of the candy, unmask, remask, stripe, and then go to clear it. So yeah. Yeah, you're watching it in real time, YouTube time, which is about 20 seconds behind me doing it live. Because there is that, I don't have it, I have it on a slight, I have an added delay just to be safe. So if anything happens, I can kill a feed. But it helps with, make sure there's no latency or any issues. I want to have it like it's sitting on a table, but I don't want to have like an edge. I just want it to kind of go back in the darkness. Hey Mike, what's going on? Oh, you know what I haven't done tonight? I haven't thanked all my members. And this was updated, I didn't do an update tonight, I didn't have time. So this was as of last week. I think we're at the same. If someone new joined, because I think Brandon was the most recent. Brandon Workman was the most recent to join. And Wade and Promo Detail. They were the most. And Rob, you in the past few weeks and months. So if I missed anyone, I'll get you next month. I try to do it every week, but definitely every month because you'll get on there. So thank you to all my down dirty tricksters. Oops, wrong paint list. Oh, let me bring up reference image. There you go. Huh. There's a reference image. I forgot to bring that up. Dragons have a lot of details. Yeah, actually, Brian, did you ever see this dragon? I'm gonna relabel it because I think people don't download it because it's paint by numbers. But it was done as a joke because the process of peeling masking is paint by numbers, kind of. And when we originally did it, it was on a Lumalor pan. I wish I had it powered up. But this is a download you can get of this dragon. And it goes both ways. You can do it that way. This was the original one. This is on a Lumalor panel so that it actually lights up. But there's a vector for this. And then there's a secondary where you can do it on a dark color in white. This is all done with a plotter, or you can do paper cut and pick and pull. This is on the website right now. And if you're a member, obviously you guys know if you're members of McKay Fine Art, then you get the 25% off for all members. That QR code, you get 25% off the store. Here. That's where all those are. Mike, thank you for attending the live feeds. Oh, yeah, don't forget to hit that like and share. We're almost at 13,000. 13,000 followers, subscribers right now. I think 70 members, paid members, which is awesome. Thank you. We should hit 13,000 soon, which would be really, really cool. Yeah, glow-in-the-dark paint's a pain in the ass. Don't get too hyped up on it. Sorry. It's fun to work with a little bit. Get yourself a UV light or black light to work with it. Don't leave the panel in the sun for very long, because 6 months, it's dead. The 88 Katana 600 watcher. Thank you, sir. Thank you for watching. All right, we're at 9 o'clock. Definitely not going to finish this painting. So we'll do a wrap up maybe Monday. And then I think maybe we'll do a wrap up Monday. And then I might take a couple week break because Kaylee's going to go back to school the week after. And I want to spend some time with her. So we'll see. Yeah, just remember, guys, the problem with the glow paint, and this is with fluorescence too, putting UV clear over it actually deadens some of the glow effect because it blocks the UV light from glowing the powder and the pigments properly. But it makes the paint last longer. Putting non-UV clear on it, the glow is better, but it won't last half as long. It's just a problem with pretty much all glow products. And fluorescents are the same way. Okay, let me do this. Where is that? Cutting mat. Where did my cutting mat go? Ah. Okay. So again, paper cutting. I usually do the whole thing first, but I did it in sections. So once you got those eyes done, like these eyes, I'm just going to pop these out because they're super easy. Because this one doesn't have the center detail. I don't want to get the structure built. What I'll do tonight, we'll get these skulls done. And then Monday, we'll wrap up with... I think we'll do Monday after Steve's feed, if all goes according to plan. We'll wrap up the crow. And here. Okay, so that one's ready. You're ready. Okay. So now what I do with these, this doesn't cut all the way to the edge, so this comes up like here and goes off. Now this could be a fold back, see, for the jawline. Same thing here. Don't go all the way. Now this folds for that cheekbone. The center nose, just going to pull the nose out. Pull that. Where the sockets are. I'm just going to cut these all the way off, and I'm not going to go too nuts about them. Oh, see. No, that'll still work. Okay, so I did all that. And this is the fun part. Who's leaving? Honey, you taking off? Night, honey. We'll wrap this up next week so your bid will hold, okay? Cheers. This is the fun part. You want to get some extra skull detail? Just take your knife and pick. And you'll get some of that cool skull. Ah! Ah, yeah, that's a good one. Haha. Don't do that to your finger. That's going to be fun in the delay because I can watch it happens. That hurt. Oh, look at that. Ow. Okay. Stabbed on camera. Oh, shit. That's real. Ah, crap. This is a little, right? That's an added signature. Ah. makeshift Band-Aid time. Little paper towel, fold, fold, fold. The show must go on, right, guys? See, I bleed for you. Where is it? There it is. Okay. See, FBS tape, good for everything. Each painting comes with your own style blood splatter. Oh, look. That's what I think of the knife. Ow, ow. Man, that stinks. Jesus Christ. Cheers. Blood, sweat, and tears, that's right. My God. Damn, that hurt. Okay, let's go to this. What was it? Tales from the Dark Side? Was it Tales from the Dark Side that had the artist that painted murder victims? Oh, don't say that word. Certain words on YouTube you can't say. The M word, I think, might be one of them, so I gotta watch that. Okay, so again, there's the skull sockets. I folded them back. Here's the little texture. So look here, I can fold this back. This is like destructive stencil. Dude, that's why I get so mad about that whole, like, it's gotta be Mylar. Do you know how long I've gotten out of, like, cardstock paper cut? Like, oh, dude, I'll put these in a binder and just have dozens of them in different sizes. And I'll just pull them out because I'm just using it for a little quick registration. See what I mean? It's just quick. I think guys want the stencils to do too much work for them overall, which is fine. I know when you're starting out you need it. But guys, the key to using a template or stencil to start is get your registration and get your bearings on a project. And then you start kind of getting your freehand in. Watch how quick this is. How much this is going to do. And I'm going to cut this right on the canvas. I'm just going to go here, here. We're going to separate this out and just give our skulls a delineation. And come and do a coarse shadow. But see how much of that skull is already there? They've already got all the structure. So now I can freehand. See how good that 40/20 street art. Just tape it, keep going. Oh man, Muse. Oh yeah, Muse is the Daredevil victim, but in the old movie Tales from the Dark Side, I think it was Tales from the Dark Side, or one of the Tales from the Crypt, there was a painter that painted the blood of its victims as well. Later, Joe. Thanks for popping in. So I'm gonna talk about it now. I won't talk about it earlier because I don't know if I'm gonna actually get to it. But only the true diehards are usually here at this point on a live feed. There's 42 of you, which is great. I have a painting I want to do tomorrow if I have time. I'm gonna try to rock it out. So we got Comic-Con this weekend, Fan Expo. And one of my favorite artists who inspired my work is coming into town, which was none other than Simon Beasley, which did Lobo. And one of the iconic images of Lobo. So what I'm thinking of doing, if I can do it, I already sketched it, I already got it started. If I can get it done tomorrow, I want to give it to him. Where is it? Do I have it here? I want to do a scullification of the famous image that he did. So I want to do a Lobo paint. I'm going to try to rock it out tomorrow. That's half skull, like Day of the Dead, merged over. And then give it to him. Because honestly, his work back in the day, really. So I'm going to try to bang this out tomorrow. And then give it to him on Saturday. I talked with him a couple years ago. It showed him my work, and he loved my airbrush work. It was actually the Predator Prey that he loved. So I'm going to kind of see if I can get that done tomorrow. I almost painted it tonight. But I don't really want to do, like, I didn't want to be seen as like copying his image, like, for profit. I just want to do it and give it to him. Okay, I thought so, Dan. I remember views, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't, like, thinking the wrong thing. So thank you for clarification. Because I know Tales from the Dark Side also had, what was it, Ray Dawn John? Like, she was the gargoyle, and the guy started painting her and drawing her, and she killed him. That was also Tales from the Dark Side. Remember, I worked at a little local movie theater when that movie came out, so I saw it, like, saw clips and pieces of it daily. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. I think he's gonna make a really good Lobo. I know some people are bitching because it's him, and he's already done Aquaman. I don't care, man. It's. I think he's gonna kill it when it comes to that role. I thought he fit Lobo more than Aquaman ever. Yeah, Rob, exactly. And she eats them. And she had the kids, and the kids were demons as well. Such a cool. I gotta watch that again. I love watching old shit. Yeah, I worked at a little 3-cinema movie theater then. And I remember seeing it over and over. And that was the same one with the old man, the cat. I think it was Buster Poindexter was his name? The cat, like, went into him. He had to kill the cat. I'm hopefully thanks for sharing and all stuff. Mike, thank you for popping in. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. I want to do a nice shadow, and then I want to bring this kind of casting light over here. I think it'll be really cool to set it off. The other cool thing about doing this is I can go back to the white to do some highlighting. But you can also, because I did a primer gray, I can do some subtle erasing and not get bright white because I have a gray base. So it gives it a really cool, let me get up in here. So look, I'm going to shade right here, like the crossover. And then I'm going to bring out his nose bridge a little brighter by using some erasing. So watch right in here. Right in here. But if I was on a white canvas, it'd be super bright. But by being a gray, I can get in And then I can come in with the white and make extra highlights if I want. But see how it's because I'm on a gray, it's not as stark like. It's a little bit more subtle. And then you can take the eraser stick and I can kind of, oh, that's a hard one. It's a hard one. You know, I can soft blend those out if I don't want to use white, or I'm not confident in my airbrush skills to go in and do white. This is a nice way to get those highlights. Sorry, I'm trying to move the camera. Oop, did I just lose that camera? Oh, phew. I lost the camera. Sorry. But so that's to the gray, which looks nice. But now I can come over if I want to make something brighter. I can take that white. So I have a couple different erasers. So these are all Faber-Castells with a different. This is a Faber-Castell. They're a little soft. If you look at the tip, you can kind of bend it. It's pretty soft. This is these are an old typewriter eraser, 605B. This is almost like a scratcher. Okay. Drew Blair had some really heavy ones back in the day, and I have it down to a nub. This is all I got left. I don't even think he has this type. He has a different type. This was a super hard one. I think after this he went to the pencil, the wood stick. But yeah, there's different softness. There's pink, there's white. These are vintage, man. These are probably older than us. And then these are normal. And then I have a blue ink one, blue ink erases. Yeah, this is the Medea one. You can get blue eraser, which is for ink. They're a little firmer. Oh, 88, yeah, man. If you're on a white canvas or whatever your substructure is, dude, erasing back works so good. And I've done it in other videos too. You can actually use isopropyl alcohol, or if you're using urethane, just put reduce in your airbrush. Now, Kelly Ross. Boop, boop, boop. Thank you, sir. So I've shown this before. It's like $1 million trick. So watch this. Straight up isopropyl alcohol. You're watching Katana 600? Watch. This is straight IP. Where's a good spot to do it? I'll do it right in here. So watch. It should. Oh, it's not working. There we go. The paint's a little too dry. But you notice how it's working it away? Yeah, if I use the illustration colors, it would work better. The electric eraser, can you get? Well, no, the electric erasers these days, you only have two that I know of. You have two types of nibs. So you have the standard white ones, which are pretty soft, which are nice. And they make different sizes. You get the fine point and the regular. Okay, these are nice. And then if you want something a little bit more aggressive, especially if you're doing solvent paint, these are Sakura. These are blue solvent for drafting ink. These are more aggressive. Okay. Now these are a little smaller diameter than the ones that come, the Iwata ones. So sometimes you have to put a little piece of tape on them to get them to stick in here, or they spin out. Let's see. So that's the blue. You want to crimp a little tighter, but see, it kind of falls out. Yeah, so you got to put a little piece of tape around the blue inks. So it's custom. It's custom. But yeah, if you use the illustration colors erase a lot better, because that's what they're designed for. The Wicked colors are designed to dry and cure really hard, so there's a different time and place for each item. So, but now look, so now I've done this with back to the gray, but now I can come in now I come in with white, and I can make this part of it brighter. You can see I get a nice kind of, that glossy kind of shift. So remember, with white, you're going to get that blue shift. Unless I use the Titan buff. I use a Titan buff that has an orangey kind of tone. But see how I get that nice... You start getting that nice skull tone here, like the secondary lights bouncing back. And then come here, and we can do a little... We can do a little detail, texture. Core highlight there. See that, how that cheekbone just popped out because I got the core shadow underneath. But this is how I like to paint. Notice what I'm not looking at. What am I not looking at when I'm doing this? Exactly. I'm not looking at a photo reference. I'm not looking at someone else's rendition of this skull. I'm putting my own spin on it based on knowledge and what I want to look like. And the cool thing is, and I remember doing this, this is going back in early 2000s. I remember me and Steve Leahy did a class at Bear Air. Steve was actually in my... He wasn't taking my class. He was sitting in on my class, like hanging out, because he worked at Bear Air back in the day. And we did a point where everyone in the class got the same skull stencil and the same skull, reference, and did their own take on it. And the cool thing was, every artist in the room ended up with a unique take from the same reference, because they didn't stay rigid to it. They put their own spin on it. And that's what I try to do. Because see how just a couple little lines, a couple little added textures, we went from just kind of meh to something that starts to look really dimensional. Now if I plotted this, it would look great, but it'd be almost too crisp around this stuff. Okay, so that's why I don't always want to use a plotter. I want to come in and put these freehand lines. Oh, and Rob, was it you or someone asked this on the skull when I did the skulls on the bike, whether I do I make do I pop the colors more? Do I change it up when I know I'm candying over it versus if I'm not candying over it? I don't know if it was you. Someone had asked me. It was a great question. Get old pocket graphics out here. Pocket graphics always come in handy. I am going to pitch these. These are the best thing you can have in your studio. Sorry. I know not every, but almost every artist I know has a set of these. I made these like over 20 years ago, and they still just come in handy all the time. Because look, I'm going to come in here, and see how this nose is, it's okay. It's got a little life. But watch, just a little bit of extra light. Find the curve. Boom. Made that edge pop. Get that nose bridge out. Yeah, Rob, it was a perfect question because it's something I always want to discuss. When I know I'm going to candy over it, so this is something I'm not going to candy over. So notice my transitions are very subtle and soft. You don't see bright white and dark black. It's very subtle. Now, if I candy this, it would still look cool, but it wouldn't have that dynamic pop from a few feet away like the ones I did in the bike. What I did in the bike is I made my whites very isolated and pop, and I dropped my shadows very, almost comic booky, with subtle changes with the bridge between. See how this goes from dark, medium, light gray, dark gray, gray, white, back. I would have black, bright white, 50% gray, back to bright white if I was candying over it. That way you get that dynamic pop. Because remember, when you candy over it, you do lose some of the contrast. So you want to, when you're on a motorcycle, when you're doing it, you want to pop that contrast for a good result. Because all this, if I was to do all this little subtle detail like I'm doing here, 50% of it will be lost after I candy it. And the customer would never see it, never appreciate it because it can't see it. So you want that pop. And that's something that's hard for like a photorealistic person mindset to do. Because they want to paint like the reference. So I try to look at a reference once in a while, and then once I do the painting, I throw it out. And I just work from what I want to look like. Yeah, when you're going to candy over it, you want to have sharper contrast versus subtle contrast. Subtle contrast will kind of go away. Like, you won't see it when you candy over it. So it's almost futile to do. So just keep things bold. Bold color, bold contrast and tone. Like right here, like I would, if I'm candying over it, I would go super bright white right there. So that edge lights, because actually this is going to be pretty bright white anyway, because it's going to have the candle light on it when I get there. You are welcome. All right, let's kind of start wrapping this up. We'll wrap these skulls up, and then next week, maybe Monday. So I'm gonna be at Comic-Con this weekend, hanging out in Boston. Tone. we'll keep wrapping up this skull for the next 10 minutes or so and call it a night. That's, let's see, that's where I mess up on my butterfly with the skull on it. I candied over it and tore it up. Yeah, so when you candy over it, you gotta remember you lose some of that contrast and that tone. So you gotta make it bold so you don't lose it. It comes with just experience in doing it. You know, you gotta remember how long I've been doing this for. Not as long as some, but longer than a lot of people. Yep. No, man, dude. In my basement in this house, I should bring them up. I should just give them away. I have stacks of old panels that I did at shows like the World of Wheels, practice panels, just random old display panels from my old studio. I got so much money. I mean, so much money. I got so much stuff sitting down there. Like I have panels I used to display at car shows. I wouldn't display at a craft fair now. But again, it's just because I look at my work differently. It's still good work. If I saw someone else, I'm like, oh, that's cool. For myself, I'm like, eh. It's just how our minds work when you paint full time. Every one of us is overcritical. Oh, yeah. Ow. Damn it, I just stabbed myself with a needle. I'm killing myself tonight. Man. Horrible. But I just love this. I love working in monotone. Our own biggest critic, exactly. Is it a full moon tonight? Could be. Feels like it. Man. Stab myself, cut myself. Gerald Mendez? What's going on, my friend? You should have a live feed garage sale. That'd be fun. I was down in my basement. I just have stacks of old panels and old paintings. Oh yeah, Mike, I've done that. Welcome to the party, Gerald. So like I said, yeah, we'll do this. I'm going to wrap up some of this now. You know what? I'm going to cut the where the candle is and just get that kind of established. Try to do it without cutting myself. We'll drop shadow it. And that way the registration's done. on everything. Boop. Before next week. So I can go here. Trying not to block you guys, sorry. So like I said, this project is more, black and white illustration technique. Not using plotters, traditional cut, mask, freehand. And yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Like I said, we'll get all this lighting in and go from there. I know we went off topic a lot and talked about a lot of different stuff tonight. But I think it was all valuable stuff, I'm hoping. And I think we'll leave it there. Not a bad start. Not a bad start for 2 hours. From nothing, not even knowing which one we're going to do. My first decoys look like a shoebox with his heads on them. That's awesome. I got to get one of your decoys, Kelly. We got to do a swap at some point. We definitely got to do that. Oh, all right, everyone. I think we're going to wrap it up there. Not bad for a 2-hour Thursday night feed. We'll get a good start on everything. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for participating in the decision on the 1 of 4 options for this. Yeah, I think Monday night. I don't think we have anything happening Monday. So yeah. We'll do that, and then I might take like a week or so off before Kaylee goes back to school to get her ready and spend some time with her. And we'll go from there. Oh, Roz, has painting minis lately? No. Built a bunch. I have a bunch in process, but I have not done any. And I really need to do it, and I just haven't. But I need to. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for popping in. Really appreciate the support. Thank you, everyone, for the super chats. That really helps the process, helps the channel a lot. And I'm going to say, yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. And comment. Comment on posts, comment on videos. That all really helps me a lot as well. It just helps the algorithm. And turn more people onto the feed. It's great. It helps my channel grow, and I can do more videos. The more support I get, the more I can do. So, I bought some. Oh, Ron, appreciate it, and I'll let you know how the Comic-Con thing goes this weekend. If I end up getting that painting done for Simon, I'll photograph it and give it to him. So I'm gonna see if I can do it tomorrow. But thanks for everyone. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. And I'll see you next week. Stay tuned on the socials. Actually, here my socials for you don't know it. Where did I put it? There we go. There's all the socials. Stay tuned. Message me. Thank you for everything. Have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy. See you next week. Peace.